Hi guys, welcome to my Flosstube. My name is Elizabeth and I am here to talk to you about cross stitching and what I've been working on lately. So since this is my very first video, I thought I would start with the Know Your Needleworker tag. So I'm going to jump into those questions. The first thing is, where do you live? So I live in Cedar Park, Texas, which is a suburb of Austin, just right outside the Austin city limits. What do I do for a living? So I'm a project manager, a financial project manager for a large corporation. So a lot of talking and planning and writing and accounting. That's what I do all day. And we've been working from home since the whole COVID-19 stuff. So I've definitely been getting more stitching done. I've still been working, but there's no commute, and sometimes maybe I can stitch during a meeting. I don't know. Do you have any children? So no, I do not. I live in my house here with my boyfriend, and we have 3 cats, no kids. What are your other hobbies besides stitching? So I have a lot of them. I'm sitting right now in my craft room, my sewing room. I really mostly quilt and cross stitch. Those are the 2 biggest, but I also knit, crochet, paint, sew project bags, I don't know, kind of anything. I've gotten really into framing my own cross stitch stuff lately, so that's been fun. Other than that, love a good movie on the couch, swimming and hanging out and grilling with my family. I don't know, I have all kinds of hobbies. Reading, pretty much anything. Stitching's number 1 though. What is your favorite movie? So my favorite movie is Clueless, the throwback from the 90s. That is the movie I've seen the most times, the movie I can quote the most. Yeah, that's my favorite movie. Your favorite TV show? So probably favorite overall is The Office. But oh man, I have a lot of different favorite TV shows depending on the day. I super love Veep, if anybody knows that show. Oh my god, on HBO, it's so funny. I also love Breaking Bad and some other dramas, but probably overall The Office. My favorite book, so gosh, probably Little Women. I think I read that the most growing up, or yeah, I don't even know if I have a favorite. I've read so many books. I really like historical fiction and chick lit and romance and just, you know, biographies. I don't know, I'll kind of read anything that looks interesting. My favorite music, probably definitely kind of like pop, hip hop, current music, but I also just really love like the music I, you know, went to high school with, so all kinds of, you know, 90s, 2000s hip hop and R&B and pop. And I love the divas like Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston and Shania Twain, you know, like anybody who would have been on Divas Live on VH1. That's kind of my favorite. What one word best describes you? I should have looked at these before I started answering them. I'm gonna say friendly. You know, I'm very like talkative and outgoing and easygoing, and yeah, so I'm gonna say friendly. Okay, so I also wanted to talk about the Flosstubes that I watch that kind of got me thinking about getting on here and sharing with you guys what I'm working on. So I think Stitching with the Housewives, maybe 3 years ago, that's the first one that I started watching that kind of got me into Flosstube. I think I was searching for how to do something cross stitch wise, or I think I was Googling for something, and I came across one of their videos and got super hooked, and then I started seeing other Flosstubes, and the ones I watch really regularly right now are the Housewives, Brenda and the Serial Starter, Nicole's Needlework. I pretty much always just want to stitch whatever Nicole's stitching. I also have really been liking Barbara's Daughter, who's a newer Flosstuber that I just started watching, and then Brenda from Handwork Maniac, and Misty Purcell. Those are kind of the main ones, but I watch, I'm sure, like 20 others. So I want to show you some previous finishes so you can kind of see some of the stuff I've made in the recent and it's all pretty recent past. I think I just pulled recent stuff. So I'm gonna start with some kind of patriotic stuff since we're in July. Today's July 5th. So the first one I'm gonna show you is a Plum Street Liberty Inn pattern. Let's see if I can get that there. I finished this probably maybe a few months ago and just got it framed about a month ago. I'm really happy with how this turned out. This is the called for threads on, I believe this is a 40 count Weeks Confederate gray. And this just hangs in my front hallway and it's gonna stay up year round because I just love how it turned out. Okay, the next one is actually one I did finish maybe a year, maybe last summer I finished this. So this is, oh gosh, I should have grabbed the pattern. I believe this is also a Plum Street, or that might be Brenda Gervais. I'd have to go look. But this is the Suffrage Act pattern in honor of the 100-year anniversary of the Suffrage Act being passed. So I stitched this last summer and I just love how it turned out. I did frame this one myself with a custom frame I bought off Etsy. So I did this with the called for colors, and this is a 32 count Picture This Plus, probably Sand or Legacy, I can't remember. I'm not very good about writing down the fabric I use. I tend to usually change the fabric because I won't have the right one on hand, and I keep a pretty big stash of just fabric I like, and so I tend to switch it out a lot. I need to be better. I'll be better about writing down what fabric I use, but I know this is a Picture This Plus 32. I just don't remember if it was the called for or if I just used something I had. Okay, so the next thing is a little Lizzie Kate Summer Small. And I just thought this was so adorable. I have a little wooden bowl on my front entry table that I have just a bunch of little summery pillows in. And so, yeah, I just love this little guy. I didn't use the called for floss, maybe a couple of them, but not all of them. And I believe this is a R&R iced cappuccino. I know it's a 36 count. And just, I don't know, a little more about me. 36 count is definitely my favorite fabric to stitch on. I love 1/2 stitching, so 36 and 40. I'm faster on 36 count, so, you know, I tend to stitch on that, but if it's a really huge piece, I'll go to 40 to make it a little bit smaller. And yeah, I like stitching on 40 as well. I do stitch on 28 and 32, depending on, you know, if it's an ornament and I think 36 or 40 would make it just too small, or depending on what fabric I have, because I used to stitch more on 28 and 32, so I still have, you know, fabric in that size, but I definitely prefer 1/2 when I can, so that's what I stitch on mostly. Okay, so next I got a Stacy Nash, oh gosh, what was this called? Gathering the Greens. This is Stacy Nash Gathering the Greens sampler. I'll just use this too. Yeah, there you go. So I have this finished. I just haven't gotten a frame for it yet. I love the big yellow house. I think this is so cool. I'm almost positive this is Weeks Confederate Gray, 40 count. It's the old Weeks, which is not my fave now that I've stitched on the Zweigart base Weeks. You know, I love how this looks and I love, you know, the fabric color and how it turned out, but it's just a little too flimsy. I stitch in hand, so I like a little bit of a sturdier fabric rather than this super flopsy. Okay, so next up, I want to show you a very recent finish that I just posted on Instagram, and I'll show you here. It is the Lizzie Kate the night before sleds. And I think I want to find some sort of red velvet ribbon to tie little bows onto these. But here they all are. I think they're freaking adorable. The little fireplace, the mouse, and Santa. I just got really in the mood to stitch Christmas last month. I know everybody's doing Jolly July or Christmas in July. But yeah, I just got totally inspired. I'd never made little sleds before. These are on perforated paper and then glued down to the sleds. And I just love how they turned out. They're like the cutest. I can't wait to put them on the tree this year. And then the next thing I have finished, but not fully finished, is my Christmas stocking. Let's see if I can get this all in frame. There we go. So this is a Cooler Designs pattern. This is called the Stitcher Studio Heirloom Stocking. And this is probably the biggest project I finished to date because it's pretty full coverage. I don't normally do full coverage projects, but I just love this stocking. And I'll get closer so you can see some of the detail. All the back stitching. All the little details. I love that little sewing machine and the tiny 1/1 stitching to create the cross stitch pieces on the wall was so much fun. Yeah, so this is stitched on the called for 25 count mushroom Lugana, and it is stitched 3/2. So 3 strands of DMC over 2 fabric holes. It's not my fave to stitch because of trying to wrangle 3 strands and make it look nice. So, you know, my stitches definitely don't look as nice as they do on the smaller counts. But it's also fun to stitch on because 25 count is so easy, I feel like, just because I'm used to stitching on 36 and 40. And I just love seeing like all the little details emerge. Like, look at this little gingham cat. I'm obsessed. And the knitting basket. Oh my gosh. And the quilt hanging on the wall. I'm also a quilter, so like, just love it. Yeah, so in my whips, I'll show you, I'm actually working on my boyfriend's stocking that matches this. And I'm waiting till I finish that one to kind of fully finish them both at once. I've never finished a stocking before. So I'm gonna try and do them both at once. So this one is just hanging out till I finish his. Oh, and I was going to show you, this is the book that the stockings are in. They were originally, I think, what was the magazine called? Cross Stitch and Country Crafts magazine is what these stockings were originally published in, and then they released a book of all of them. So I think I got this book on Amazon for maybe 20 bucks, slightly used. And then I ended up actually purchasing the PDF version of the pattern from Cooler because it was just easier to work off the PDF off my computer rather like I'll just show you you know, like how small the little stitches look on these charts, but it's beautiful. But yeah, it would be pretty hard to stitch from, so I ended up buying the PDFs on Cooler Designs website. I'm trying to find the picture of mine to show you what it looks like finished. Yeah, so there's the one I just showed you. They finished it with the big red ruffle. I think I'm probably just gonna get some velvet and some piping and just do a plain kind of stocking finish. And then moving on to whips, the stuff I'm currently working on. Let me find, so this is the one I am working on currently for my boyfriend. It is the Holiday Study. And then let me show you where I'm at. Also, I use all kinds of project bags. Ziploc, handmade, container store. So don't judge my Ziploc bags. Oh, also a disclaimer during this whip section, I am a kind of person who moves around like project to project a lot. I start a lot of things. I always have like a lot of things going on. So sorry if that stresses you out. I'm not good at monogamous stitching. Okay, so here is the progress I have so far on Rob's stocking. So you can see I've got, I haven't done his name, this like kind of header, but I've got a pretty good chunk. I think I've got, this is about the halfway point down here. Obviously the toe is bigger, but this is, you know, a pretty good chunk of change I've got done here. I'm loving how it's looking. The grandfather clock turned out so cute. Yeah. So that's where I am with that. My goal is to have it done by the end of October. I like to decorate kind of in early November. So yeah, I'm hoping to get this done soon. I mean, by soon, I mean like 2 months. Okay, next thing I'm working on, and by working on, I mean, these are ones I've touched in the last 2 weeks. I didn't want to pull all my whips in here because that's a whole thing. So these are all things I've been working on in the last like week or two. So this next one is a Christmas one. And you can see my thread just hanging out off to the side. This is, I guess I should show you the pattern first. This is Heart in Hand Merry Making Mini. Just a super cute little retro ornament. I'm using the called for blue, but I think I picked different red, pinks, and whites just based on what I had. I just really loved that blue. So I got that one, and then I'm just using what I have for everything else. So yeah, that's so cute. I pretty much just need to finish that C, and then I can just fill in with blue and I'll be done. This fabric is 36 count raw natural Zweigart. Yeah. Okay. Next up is a patriotic start that I started recently. Let's see. So the pattern is Land of Liberty by Brenda Gervais. Here's the pattern and what it looks like. I think a lot of people have stitched this. It's pretty popular. It's really cute. I'm using the called for red and blue, but I think that's about it. Otherwise, I kind of subbed in what I had because I wanted to start it. So sorry about the wrinkles. I mentioned I stitch in hand, so my fabric gets wrinkled. But here's where I am so far. I've got most of the letters done, and I'm working on the flag. I'm excited to get to Big Uncle Sam. And one of the reasons that I started this one when I did is because I realized I had the perfect size frame for it, which is weird because it's like kind of a long, skinny, weird size, and it's not a standard size. And so I just happened to have the perfect size frame for it. I guess I can give you a little bit of a preview of what that might look like. Yeah, once I have the L and yeah, Uncle Sam and everything. So for Mother's Day, so when was that, in May? A couple of months ago, my mom had given me a piece of cross stitch that she had finished that she wanted me to frame. And so for Mother's Day, I ordered some custom frames because it's hard ordering on the internet. So I ended up ordering 2 of the exact same size to fit her piece. And this is the one I didn't use. And it's just been sitting here. And I was like, well, you know, eventually I'll have something. And I'd had this in my stash forever. And I was looking at it and measuring it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's going to be perfect for this frame. So, and since, you know, it was 4th of July coming up, I was like, let's just start it. So yeah, I'm very excited. Very excited to see this one done and framed. I think it'll be so pretty. I'll also insert a picture of the one I framed for my mom here, so you can see the other frame I picked and what my mom stitched, which I think was a kit she got at the Grand Canyon like 6 years ago. So it's really cute. Next up is my big giant whip. So I started maybe at the end of March or beginning of April, pretty much as soon as the market stuff started shipping. I bought Heartstring Samplery Consider the Lilies. Oh, it's so pretty. And yeah, I love it. When I saw all the new market stuff coming out, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stitch that. So let me show you my progress. Again, don't mind the needle and thread hanging out. God, this one's so big. This is gonna be hard to get in the camera every time. So this is where I am so far. I start in the upper right of patterns usually. Again, mind the wrinkle, sorry. So I've got pretty much I'm about a third away. I think this blue flower is pretty much like kind of the third waypoint. So I'm about a third of the way across the top. And then obviously I have to go down to the bottom and then, you know, all the way across this big ol' giant piece of fabric, this blanket. But yeah, here, I'll get this a little bit up closer for you. Yeah. So that's my Consider the Lilies that I've been working on. I pretty much just pull this out on weekends because it's got so much floss. It's got a book. It's, you know, a little bit, I feel like, more set up to work on. So I've been pulling this one out mostly on the weekends when I have more time, and then I'll work on something a little bit smaller, like during the week after work and stuff. Yeah, it's got this insane amount of floss. They're so pretty, but yeah, it's a little bit rat's nesty. So the next thing I want to talk about was some projects that I'm itching to start or itching to get back to. One of these, yeah, I think one of these is a whip, and then 3 of these are ones that I really, really want to start. So the first one that I really want to start is Land That I Love by Teresa Kogut, and I'll insert a picture because I don't have the pattern yet. I just posted this on my Instagram, so I made myself a custom project bag for the project. I have all of my flosses ready to go. I got the thread drops for the DMC. I have all the weeks and the classic colorworks on here. And then I could not find the Weeks 10 roof in Zweigart base that was called for in the pattern. And I decided to buy a Zweigart limestone, just solid color fabric, I think from Kinstitcher. And so when it came, it looked a little bit light. So I did kind of a coffee tea dunk, except I used brown Rit dye instead of coffee and tea because I don't have just coffee and tea in my house. Yeah. So I really like how this turned out. Let me hold it up with the threads so you have a little bit better view. Yeah, so I'm very excited. I think this is going to be so fun. I really wanted to start it on July 4th, but I pre-ordered it from a site and they just haven't gotten their shipment yet, so I haven't gotten my pattern yet. So I'm just waiting. Hopefully maybe by next weekend I can start this. It's another big one, so I should probably wait till I make more progress on Consider the Lilies, but I'm impatient, and so I probably won't. I'll probably start it. Okay. What's next? Oh yeah, so the next one is, I think it was released at Market, and it's one I really want to start. I just have shoved all my floss for it in here, so let me get the pattern out for you. This is by a designer I've never stitched anything by, called the Blackberry Rabbit, and the pattern is called The Visitor. That's what it looks like. Yeah, it's really pretty. It's like full coverage-esque in terms of just like the shading. And so I bought all the called for colors because I don't want to try and recreate any of this shading with colors I have. So I'm waiting on a few more colors to come in. It takes, I mean, it takes a lot. Look at all those colors. Some of them are DMC, but most of them are not. So it's kind of an expensive one. And then I just need to pick a piece of fabric for it. This was stitched on 32 count and I'm gonna stitch it on 36 something. So I'll have to dig through my fabric and find something to stitch that on. Okay, what is next? Oh yeah, so I signed up for the Fat Quarter Shop, is it Merry Mistletoe stitch along? Whatever their Jolly July Christmas stitch along. And so I bought their week's thread pack. So that came in the mail. It is very bright and primary. I actually might not start this one for a little while until more of the pattern comes out. And depending, I may switch out some of the colors, although I did buy the thread packs. I should probably just use it. I don't know. We'll see. And then I picked, well, I've helpfully marked it 36 count, but I clearly didn't know what the color was. It's just a remnant from something. I'm not sure from which project. So, yeah, but it's just basically a kind of a light gray, kind of a grayish. So that's what I figured I would stitch it on. They're stitching theirs, I think, on Graceful Gray or something from Zweigart, but this is what I had, so that's what I'm gonna use. The last thing that I really want to get back to is a whip that I haven't pulled out in a little while, and I just love it. And I'm getting so close to the end that I really want to work on it and finish it. So I need to pull this back out soon. And let me pull the pattern for you. So this one is Plum Street Samplers Blackberry House. It's so pretty. I love the colors. It's like really not unusual, but just like not the typical colors I feel like I see on a lot of patterns. The blues and purples and the crazy purple pink bird. I think the only thing I changed is that I didn't have amethyst, which is what that little house is stitched out of, and a couple of the stars and things. So I subbed in, I don't even remember what I subbed in at this point, but I subbed something else in, and I love how it's turning out. So let's see if I can put something behind this. So here is Blackberry House. So you can see I've gotten a good amount done, basically the whole top half, and where you see that line under the house, that's as long as it goes. It's a pretty tall piece. So yeah, just working on that big, huge blue urn in the center that holds all the flowers. And then I'll finish the house and I'll get to move on to the alphabet underneath, which is kind of my favorite. I think I'm weird in that fact, or I don't know, maybe other people do too, but I really love stitching alphabets. But here's some kind of up close. I did change the order of the colors in the bird to make my bird a little bit lighter. I love that little birdhouse, all the bricks. Oh look, I have a quilt star I need to finish up there. But yeah, I really want to get back to this one. Oh, and this is on a Lakeside linen. It's a 40 count Lakeside linen. Oh, I don't remember the name of it. Maybe maple sugar. I don't know. It's pretty light. I can't remember now. I need to be better about writing that down. I love Lakeside linen. It's so hard to find, but I was in Houston over New Year's, and I went into ABC Stitch Therapy back when they had kind of like hours that you could actually go into the store. They're mostly mail order, but they used to have hours. And I just found like a treasure trove of Lakeside linen, and I bought so many pieces in 36 and 40, and she was like, oh man, you stitch on this? Like, I guess, I don't know, maybe their customers aren't buying it. And so they had a bunch of it, and I was like, yes, I wish I'd bought more. Yeah, okay, so I think that's everything I have to show you for today. I'll probably be back in a week or two, just depending on how much I stitch and think I have to show. I have a piece that is out being framed that comes this week, so I definitely would have a new finish to show. So I can, yeah, I'll probably be back in a couple of weeks, but thanks so much for watching and seeing what I stitch. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'll put that down below. My handle is ElizabethAnnCanStitch. So yeah, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.